And now your host, Richard Thomas.
Hello, and welcome to an hour of death-defying stories as It's a Miracle takes a look at some miraculous narrow escapes. First, a brother and sister wander into what can only be described as a real-life horror film, complete with a cast of thousands of ruthless and cold-blooded villains, each of them intent on destroying these young and innocent lives. It was August 25th, 2000, and Alan Bell and his family had just arrived for a weekend of camping at Tahquamenon Falls in northern Michigan.
We went up to view the falls and the river there, just for the peace and quiet, to get away from the rat race.
Hey, Dad.
There we go, yes.
You think we're going to go bike riding?
11-year-old Andrew was anxious to explore the area, and his 7-year-old sister Lauren wanted to tag along.
Because it had been a long car ride, we decided to let the children go, ride around and blow off some energy. We told them to come back in about an hour.
While Alan and his wife Ann set up camp, the children headed for the playground.
When we got to the playground, we dropped our bikes off and we just started swinging, and there were slides. We were having a pretty good time. And then eventually, my sister said, "This is getting boring."
What do you want to do next?
I don't know. Hey, look, there's a trail. Let's go. I said, "Why don't we go on that little trail over there?" She says, "Sure, why not?"
The two young siblings headed off into the woods, following the path that ran close to the river.
Deer back here.
I don't know, you might. As we were walking, I noticed caution tape hanging from trees and tied onto trees.
What does caution mean?
Caution means be aware, be alert. There might be some dangers up ahead. So I told my sister that we should turn around and just head back to camp.
And just go a bit farther, please.
We can't. We
Come
have to
on,
go.
please. Andrew, come on.
We have to go. I turned around to start walking back, and my sister kept on walking. All of a sudden, she just fell.
Andrew!
And then I noticed the buzz sound of the bees.
Lauren had stepped directly into a hive of angry yellow jackets.
Andrew, help me!
She just started screaming.
Lauren! Lauren!
Lauren! Oh my God! I've never heard my sister scream like that before. She was just in terror and pain. My first thought was dirt, and I started throwing dirt on her. But that just made the bees more angry, and they started coming at me.
Now both children were under attack, and the swarm was growing larger.
I remembered that my science teacher told us bees can't fly if they get their wings wet.
And so he headed for the river.
I ran down and then dove into the water.
And it worked. The bees washed away, and Andrew turned his attention back to his sister.
Lauren, come on! They can't get you here! Come on! Lauren, come on! I was screaming to her, "Get in the water. The bees can't hurt you if you're in the water." Come on! She just stood there in terror. She was like paralyzed. She couldn't move.
Once again, Andrew was forced to enter the swarm.
I picked her up and dragged her into the water. I told my sister on the count of 3, we're going underwater. 1, 2, 3.
Andrew held his sister underwater for several seconds until all the bees were gone.
Help! 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 I cried for help, yelling and screaming. And by the time we got out of the water, there was help that had already arrived there.
She got stung by bees. Really bad. Really bad.
I knew that my sister was stung a lot more than I was, and I knew that if you got stung, a lot of times, a lot of bad stuff could happen.
Okay, go get my parents. Campsite 35.
Campsite 35? I'll get them.
Campsite 35.
I looked down at my sister, and she was crying harder than she's ever cried before. She had red dots all over where the bees was stinging her, and her lips were swelling up, turning purple. I didn't know what her condition was. I didn't know if she was going to be all right.
Is this Camp 35?
The kids had been gone approximately a half an hour when a man walked up to our campsite and said that the children had been stung by bees. At that point, I thought that maybe they had one sting or two stings.
You don't understand. They got stung a lot. We have to go. Come on, we have to go.
Once I heard that it was multiple bee stings, I was panicked.
A lot of time.
As a registered nurse, Anne knew that the situation could be life-threatening.
I was imagining the worst. When someone is stung multiple times, they can go into anaphylactic shock, meaning that their airway will close and eventually they will not be able to breathe.
She got stung by bees. Oh my God. Really bad. Oh my gosh.
But nothing could prepare her for what she found.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that we were in a critical situation. Her lips were very, very swollen and she was covered with bee stings.
I'm gonna go back to the car and get the Benadryl. I'll be right back.
I have a cell phone in the car.
Okay.
Try and use it. We'll call 911.
Okay.
I'd never seen anything like that before, and being that she was mine, it made it worse.
While Anne ran for the car, Alan did his best to keep his daughter calm.
She was crying and shaking all over. She had bee stings from head to toe.
Come on, we're gonna get some medicine.
You never want to see your little ones hurt. And if I could have, I would have taken all the pain that she was feeling.
Before long, Anne returned with the car and the antihistamine.
I told the kids to take the Benadryl, and I gave the phone to Alan to call 911. Regardless of how much Benadryl I had given her, she still needed to get medical care immediately.
We gotta get her to the hospital here.
I can't get a signal.
Okay.
We couldn't get a signal on the cell phone, and we had no idea where the nearest payphone was or where the nearest hospital was.
Hurry up, get in, just get in.
We went to the ranger station to call 911, but they were closed for the evening. So we drove outside the campground and found a variety store.
Get a blanket. I'll call 911. I have an emergency. I need you to call 911.
Come on, Andrew, hurry up.
Here. My daughter's been stung by a lot of bees.
Help
Yes.
was on the way, but the campground was half an hour from the nearest medical facility.
I was so scared. I knew that Lauren's condition could get worse at any minute, and I was afraid that we could not get her the help that she needed.
Hurry, thank you. I need some ice.
By icing Lauren down, I was hoping that it would give us some extra time to help prevent the spread of the venom until the paramedics showed up.
Try to relax. It's okay, honey. You're gonna.
Lauren's situation was critical.
Okay.
It was very difficult for me to keep a handle on my emotions.
Andrew, you see that ambulance yet?
I had to be a nurse and I had to be strong, and I couldn't let her know how afraid I really was.
Breathe slow, breathe slow.
I didn't know whether or not she would live through this.
Squeeze it as hard as you can.
Nice and easy.
I can't imagine my life without her. She brings so much joy to my heart. And I don't know if I could endure living without her. I was praying that my daughter would be okay and that help would get there quickly.
The hospital, the ambulance. It's okay.
Anne's prayers were finally answered when the paramedics arrived with epinephrine, a drug that would immediately reverse Lauren's intense reaction to the bee stings. With the young girl out of immediate danger, she was taken to the hospital for further treatment. A short while later, Dr. Robert Lazar, an allergist, made a startling discovery.
Lauren had 50 to 100 stings with some yellow jackets, and 50 to 100 bee stings is quite a number. On top of that, we discovered that she had allergy to several bees, including yellow jacket, yellow hornet, and white hornet.
Here's those shots. What do you think?
I believe that if Andrew wasn't there, she probably wouldn't be alive today.
It was Andrew's quick thinking and a lesson that bees can't fly if their wings are wet that saved not only Lauren that day, but Andrew as well.
I was glad that I actually paid attention that day at school. I'm very, very happy that she's okay now.
Every time I look at Andrew and think about what he did and how he saved his sister's life, I just burst with joy and happiness. We are just so lucky to have her alive today. We treasure every day with her.
I think it's a miracle that Lauren came through this.
So that the bees would know that the queen was there.
And just a year later, another unexpected miracle. Lauren has overcome her fear of bees.
I did it.
Lauren Bell is a very lucky little girl, lucky to have survived as long as she did being allergic to bee venom, and lucky to have an older brother like Andrew. We wanted to hear what's been happening with the Bell children, and so they join us now from their home in Traverse City, Michigan. Hello there.
Hi.
Hey, Richard.
How are you feeling, Lauren?
Pretty good.
Looks like you got rid of all those nasty bee stings.
Yes, I did.
Well, you must be thankful for that, and especially thankful for what your older brother did when those bees attacked.
I think it's very nice that he did that for me.
Is there something special you'd like to say to him?
I like to say that thank you for saving my life, Andrew.
What do you think about that, Andrew?
It's pretty nice.
Yes, it is. Has your relationship changed at all since all this happened to you?
It hasn't changed one bit. We still fight like every other brother and sister.
Well, at least you're honest. You have any advice for other kids who might find themselves in a situation like you and Lauren did?
My advice would be just be alert, just know where you are, make sure you have a way of getting help, and just look out for yourself.
And look out for others too, right?
That's also important, to make sure that everybody around you, even if they're, especially when they're younger, to make sure that they're gonna be all right too.
So, Lauren, it sounds like as long as you stick close to your brother, you're gonna be okay.
I'm gonna be really okay.
I'm sure you will. And thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Our next miraculous narrow escape occurs literally moments before imminent death. It's a close call, so close that it's a miracle. On a warm summer day in 1995, Shauna and Wally Lukish were enjoying a typical 4th of July with their twin sons, Chris and Wally.
Hey guys, it's time to eat.
And their pet Lhasa Apso, Lukey.
I adopted Lukey about 7 years ago from the Humane Society. Just that face that she had, her little blue eye and brown eye just sold me. I said, this is the dog I want. We were a family. We had our home, 2 children, a dog. What more could you want? I mean, we were just happy.
Feel safe and happy 4th of July.
Yay, happy 4th of July.
And for Wally Lukish, the best was yet to come.
Thank you.
Fireworks are the most exciting part of the whole evening. It's what I look forward to. It's like brings the kid out in me. You guys ready for some fireworks?
As the sun began to set, Wally prepared for the big show.
First ones just for the...
Kids were all excited, and we were excited as well. So I decided I'm going to put Lukey in the house. I put her through the slider door and shut the door because I knew that she would be frightened of fireworks.
Once Lukey was safely inside, the fireworks display began.
The boys get a thrill out of it. I tape them on the pole and hold them up, and we get to enjoy them 21 feet up.
Kids were having fun, and we were having a great time.
By the end of the night, we have stiff necks, but it's all well worth it.
Yeah, what do you guys think, huh?
And just when we were coming to the grand finale, I ran out of matches.
I'll be right back.
I was all excited and told the boys to wait. I had to go back into the house, get the matches. And I ran back out. We lit the grand finale and went on with the evening as planned.
That's a nice shower. Check it out. I like it. Woo! That was awesome.
After the fireworks were finished, I started putting stuff away. I went towards the slider door and I said, my goodness, this door is open. And I went into the house and I didn't see Lukey.
Lukey? Lukey Luke?
Went in the boys' room, in my room, in the living room.
Lukey? Lukey?
And I was thinking, what's happening? Where can she be? And I went outside and told my husband, I said, the door was left open. Lukey's gone.
It was my fault that I left the door open. It was me that didn't close the door.
Lukey!
So we went out and looked for the dog.
Lukey, come on.
My mind was just going with horrible thoughts. Did somebody pick her up, or was she ran over?
We drove up and down streets calling out her name, covered a large area, and nowhere could we find her.
Come on, Patrol. We got Lukey.
I told my wife, let's go back home. She's probably hiding out in a dark shadow somewhere, and she'd come back. But she never did.
I thought, where is my dog? And I knew she had to be frightened, just like I was.
Sorry.
I felt sad for my mom and dad because my dad felt guilty for leaving the doors open.
Excuse me, I've lost my dog. There's a $300 reward. The very next day, I made up flyers and went door to door, at least to 100 homes. It was devastating to me. I love the dog much as my family did. It was just a thrill to watch the dog play with the boys. Those are memorable, cherishable moments that you can't get back, and I felt that that's gone now. We're never going to find a dog like this again.
Hi, my name is Shauna Lukish, and
I called the Humane Society, I called the pet parlor, I called the vet. I was just phoning just out of desperation to find Lukey.
No one came up with Lukey, and that's when I figured we're probably not getting her back.
Days of searching turned into weeks and months.
you guys. Thank you.
In my heart, it just tugged. Maybe she's been hit. I didn't want to think that, but as months and then years went along, you have to give up sometime.
It was an early afternoon in May of 2001 when Jaime Miraz of the Los Angeles County Department of Animal Care and Control spotted an unusually mangy animal.
I was on my way to a call, and I observed this dog that was wandering around in a parking lot. And I pulled up to the dog and walked out of my vehicle.
Come on, puppy.
Normally, animals like this run from you because they've been out there so long. They're kind of street smart.
What are you doing out here?
When I picked it up, I noticed how matted it was. The hair was all in knots and full of stickers. I didn't really know where it was or where it was going. I'm surprised that it got to this location without getting run over. When you bring a dog like this to the animal shelter, he would be put to sleep because nobody really attracted to an animal like this.
Jaime drove the dog to the Los Angeles County Animal Control Center in Baldwin Park, California. Sergeant Eileen Hill supervises all operations at the center.
The dog was dehydrated. She had a lot of fleas and ticks on her. She's full of oil. She'd obviously been sleeping under cars by the way her coat was. No one's looking to adopt a new pet that looks like this. Most people want a pet that they can have around for a while, where this dog is going to be slowing down. They want one that's going to be running and chasing the Frisbee and going on jogs with them and riding the bike.
After 6 days in the LA County Kennel, the Lhasa Apso was scheduled to be euthanized.
No one had expressed any interest in her. Her owners hadn't come forward to claim her, and she didn't appear to be something that someone would want to place into their home.
As they prepared to give the dog a lethal injection, Sergeant Hill had a sudden impulse to scan it for a microchip, a device occasionally implanted in pets that contains identifying information.
And I thought, well, maybe this one didn't get scanned when she came in. She has a microchip. I was really surprised to see she had a microchip in her. I didn't think anyone cared about this dog. She definitely looked like she'd been uncared for, and the first thought was that they didn't want her anymore. And at that point, I have to go to my computer and tell it, find the owner. Tell me who this dog is.
Sergeant Hill checked the computer and found that the Lhasa Apso belonged to Shauna Lukash. 35 miles away, the Lukash family was about to receive a miraculous phone call.
I'm gonna. Hello?
Yeah, this is Sergeant Hill with LA County Animal Control. We have Lukey here.
You have Lukey?
Yes, we do.
My heart dropped. I said, oh my God. Hold the dog, don't do anything.
He said, she's been missing for 5 years. I said, oh my God. He said, we'd almost given up. He says, my wife is gonna be so excited.
Hold on 1 minute, please. They have Lukey.
Hello? Yes? I said, do you really have my dog Lukey? And they said, yes. And I said, please, please, don't euthanize her. We're coming down. I was crying, of course.
I finally had to tell her, if you don't stop crying, I'm gonna hang up. I said, you've almost got me crying. I've got an office full of people. I need to go help after you. I said, you gotta stop crying.
When we got to the animal shelter, I immediately just darted into the front doors and I said, hi, I'm looking for Sergeant Hill, please.
Yes, she's right here.
Yeah, hi. I said, I'm Shauna, I'm the owner of Lukey, and I just hugged her and I said, please, let's go get her, let me see her.
I took Lukey out and everyone kind of stood and looked at her for a moment, to be honest. And they're like, oh, Lukey, she looks so terrible.
I didn't really expect to see what I did because Lukey was always well-groomed. Lukey, come on. It's really hard to describe the condition that she was in. This poor dog. My first thoughts were, I'm gonna look at her eyes, and I did.
She has a brown eye and a blue eye. It is Lukey. It is. Can you believe it, baby girl? You're coming home.
I was very happy to see her, but I didn't like the condition she was in. She must have been treated bad homes, not really good food to eat, and just been starving.
I didn't care the condition that she was in. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I was just really in shock. I just couldn't believe it. After 5 years, I have my dog back.
Come on, Chase.
After 5 long years, Lukey was finally home, reunited with the family who loved her.
And we get to see quite a few dogs return to their owners, but never this exciting, never 5 years later.
I'm not sure what kept her going, but obviously something did. What are the odds of losing an animal 5 years and getting a call and that your animal's been found?
There, it's like a lady again.
The chances of this happening are very slim. 1,000,000 to 1, they say. It's a miracle.
To find yourself alone in a deadly situation with no way out has to be a terrifying ordeal. And so, when fate steps in to save the day, it has to seem miraculous. Well, you're about to witness a young man caught in just such a life and death situation. And the miracle he experienced was also caught on videotape.
What'd you guys get today?
Couple rubber pintails.
Sweet. I was filming my brother and his friend who were hunting for duck and geese.
As we were leaving to go home, we came across this dirt road that was washed out, and we found this younger guy standing on top of his Corvette in the middle of this raging water. What's your name?
The young man was Fred Hochberg, and his Corvette had been swept away in a flash flood.
We need one guy to go down here about 200 feet in case he does fall in.
There were a couple of other people that were at the scene who had just arrived, and one man had gone immediately to call rescue. My brother's gonna go down there. If you fall, try to make it to this side. I, at one point, ran down the banks of the stream behind where he was to just try and see if there was a safe place to maybe throw a rope to him. Every time I'd approach the bank, it would cave in, and the water was right up to the edge.
I want something to get some weight on it. That's all I'm...
Yeah, you gotta try like a log around there and throw it out above him and let it wash down to him. These two other guys threw him a garden hose.
Channel 7, baby.
I thought he was gone at that point. If he wasn't going to be able to hang out of that car, it was just going to sweep him downstream.
Fred's dip into the freezing waters only made matters worse. Hypothermia would quickly set in, numbing his body and making it even more difficult to hang on.
I knew that he was in a lot of trouble, and that we were going to need to do something, right then.
Hey, we're going to need you guys. All right, what do you need? Come here.
We put together a line from some rope and a harness that I had on my gun belt, and we attached it to a log so we could have some weight to throw it out there to him. After a couple of attempts, we finally got the log to him.
Stay on the car. Hold on tight. Hold on tight.
The rope was only a safety line, not strong enough to pull him to shore.
Hang in there, buddy. Almost out of there.
We kept telling him, you're going to be out of there soon, you're going to be out of there soon, and it just kept taking longer and longer and longer, and he just kept getting colder and colder. And at one point, he curled up in a little ball, and I could see the steam rising off of his head, even through the camera.
Finally, members of the Riverside County Fire Department arrived on the scene. Engineer Martin Gill was part of the team.
We were discussing several options to the rescue. The first and safest choice was if we maneuver out to where he was trapped with the basket and get him off the roof of the car.
We put safety lines in place just in case the person was to fall off the vehicle before we got out to him. Once we got all of our safety lines in place, we set the aerial ladder up and went out to get him with a bucket.
One of their biggest fears was that the person would jump for the basket, miss, and end up in the water. And so once they got within voice contact range, they stopped, spoke with them, calmed them down, and explained to them what they were going to do.
They said, this is a drill, just do exactly what we say. And then as they got closer to me, they're like, okay, we're going to lock arms. I stood up and I was like, no, I can't stand up. My legs were just, from being like that, I couldn't stand up. I'm like, here you go, hang on, just give me a minute.
As soon as he got his first foot up in there, I knew he was in, and that was a great relief. And I think everybody else felt it too.
The two duck hunters, they stayed with me the whole time.
Hey, guys. Hey, ready. Congratulations, man.
I mean, I don't know how to repay them or anything, but they were there.
And if they hadn't been there that early January morning, it's difficult to say what might have happened. But in the final analysis, it's clear that Fred Hochberg's life was touched by two very special guardian angels and a miracle. Well, that's our show for now. Thank you for joining us. And a special thanks to all the people who shared their remarkable stories tonight on It's a Miracle. It's our hope that whenever you need one, you'll find a miracle in your life too. Until next time, I'm Richard Thomas. Goodbye.